애들 시간이죠. 애들 시간인데 우리 오늘 주는 걸 애들 갖다 주려고. 애들 갖다 주려고.
I want you to try to guess what that vehicle is by some of the hints I'm going to give you. Now, the first hint is it makes lots of noise. Not a Jeep, but that's a good one, though. It makes lots of noise, and it has flashing red lights on it. Not a motorcycle. It has a siren on it. That's the big noise. Close, not a fire truck, not a police car, because I won't get in trouble. But you had it. What is it? An ambulance. I got to ride in an ambulance one time. This is when I had a job as a principal of a school. Now, do you, any of you know anyone who's a principal? You do? Can you show me where they are? Are they here? Oh, right over there, sure enough. Now, the next question is this. What does a principal do? Do any of you know what a principal does? Can someone tell me what a principal does? Are you brave enough to tell me? Does anyone know? Talk to parents. I heard that one. Okay, are you brave enough to try? All right, I don't want to put you on the spot too bad, just a little bit. So no one knows what a principal does. Have any of you ever been sent to the principal's office?
그 사람 교장인 것 같다.
No? Oh, you're volunteering your friend, I see. All right. Well, here's one thing I learned real quick. If anything goes wrong, guess who they come to talk to? The principal. If something happens at the school the parents don't like, guess who they come and talk to? The principal. Yeah. Oh my, it happens all the time. Well, this particular story is when I was principal of a school called Platte Valley Academy. It's right in the middle of the United States, almost, in the state of Nebraska. Nebraska is usually the state everybody drives through on the way from the East Coast to the West Coast. There's lots of corn and lots of cows. And at Platte Valley Academy, we had lots of cows. Because every one of our students had a job, and some of the students got to work on the farm and the dairy. Now, what does someone do who works on a dairy? Any idea? What comes from a dairy? What do they get at a dairy? Is that where your milk comes from? So a person who works on a farm does what? I heard someone say it over here. Milk the cows, that's right. And so the students actually had to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning to milk cows. And at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, every single day of the year. Christmas Day, no matter what. In fact, when my parents got married, my mom thought they ought to get a cow. You know what my dad said? He said, no cow is going to run my life. He'd been there. He didn't want to have anything to do with the cow. Well, this particular day, on this particular school, we had about 650 cows.
Wow.
And we had one bull. Now, you know what a bull is? It's a male cow, right?
Wow.
And bulls can sometimes get really, really mean. In fact, when I was about 5 years old, I was visiting my uncle's house, and he had a bull that was really mean, and he had it on a chain. And the chain came from a big stake in the ground, and it came up, and there was a ring in the cow's nose, because that's the most tender spot in the cow, in the bull. And so the bull didn't want to pull because it would hurt his nose. He didn't like that. So that was the only way to control that bull. He was really, really mean. And I came back from an errand one time, and I walked past the area that was within the chain. And that bull started charging after me. I didn't even see it. And I walked just outside the range of that bull. But then he got the end of his chain. My uncle was so upset at me and the cow. And I didn't even know what I'd done wrong. But the bull at Platte Valley Academy was not mean. He was a very gentle bull. He was a very large bull. I mean, really, really large. We had big cows, and he was even bigger. But he was gentle. And one day, Chris's job was to go take care of Herman, the bull. Now, Herman liked to have people come feed him, because he had his own little pen that he was there. And as Chris went to feed him, Chris decided that Herman was being so gentle, he wanted to go in the pen and pet him. But before Chris went to do that job, his boss, Mr. Schneider, said, remember, there are 2 rules about Herman. Number 1, you never go in the bullpen unless you absolutely have to. And number 2 is if you have to go in the bullpen, you always have your eyes watching Herman. Don't ever turn your back on Herman. Well, Chris decided he wanted to pet Herman. Because Herman was gentle. And so he walked around and into the pen, and he went over, and he started petting Herman. Herman liked it, scratching his head. He was enjoying it. Then Chris decided it was time to go continue his chores and do his work. Guess what? Herman didn't want him to leave. He tried to step over this way, and Herman stepped right in front of him. And he tried to go over this way, and Herman moved over there. And finally, he got away, and he started walking toward the fence. But he forgot rule number 2. What was rule number 2? Never turn your back on Herman. Well, Herman didn't want Chris to leave. And so he went trotting over to where Chris was, and he was going to give him a nudge. But Herman didn't know how strong he was. And he took his head down, and he went, woo. And Chris went flying about 15 feet across the bullpen and landed in a heap. Fortunately, Mr. Chapman saw what had happened, and he was running over there already. He pulled out his phone and he called 911 and got the ambulance on the way. And then guess who he called? He called the principal. So I hopped in my car and I ran down, and here's Chris laying on the ground in the middle of the bullpen. And shortly after, and remember, this was a boarding school, and so his parents weren't around to come help him. So we had to take care of him. So the ambulance came, they put him in the cot, I guess it's called, and they put him in the ambulance, and guess what I got to do? I got to ride with him in the ambulance. And we went down the road with the siren going and the lights flashing and everything else. We got down, and Chris lay there moaning, groaning. He was so sore. Fortunately, when we got to the hospital, they took him in, they checked him out. He had a small concussion. Everything else was fine. They kept him in the hospital for a night to make sure everything was still good. I got to call Chris's parents and tell them what happened, and that was always fun. How do you call a parent and say, your son just got thrown by a bull? Now I have a question for you. I'm glad the story came out good. But sometimes we think that principals and parents set these rules up for us just to give us a hard time. Do you think Chris's boss put those 2 rules there just to give the kids a hard time so they couldn't enjoy Herman? Why did he make those rules? protect them, keep them safe. So remember, no matter how old you are, someone's always knows a little bit more than you, and they may have some guidelines to keep you safe. God keeps us safe too, doesn't he?